really hope you like this video. Just subscribe, like, and click the bell to be notified of more content just like this. Morning, ladies and gentlemen. Afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you are in the world. Delighted to welcome you to another Zoomers with Charlie McCann and John Richardson. And fellas, how are we, first of all?
Is Charlie a bit nervous?
Yeah, probably. I think, I don't know why you always get, with this time of Mane back, probably be Thiago back.
Always a negative. The glass is always half empty.
If Everton have Alan fit, then there is no complaints, and may the best team win. I do think that Liverpool are still that extraordinary thing at Villa Park apart. They have been, very, very good so far. That performance at Chelsea was very good. Arsenal, very, very good. And I'm sorry, I just do think it's a blip. But, we'll see. And I think Everton will give them a good game tomorrow. I think,
have Liverpool not left yet for the European League? Have they not gone yet? They're still here.
They're biding their time. I think that opportunity is not yet there. But I'm to say it might come, might it, John?
Well, if it does, it does, and good luck to them, because the rest of us will just get on with it.
Can I just to interrupt there. I mean, I was going to kick off with Project Big Picture, which Rico and I were just talking off air. I mean, usually International Week is a graveyard week for journalists because they're always scratching around for some kind of story. But this has fallen into everyone's lap. We'll talk about Everton and Liverpool in a bit, but Rico, well, first of all, what's your take on what's happened this week?
Well, it just sums up the greed which pervades football at the moment amongst the big boys. They just want more and more. With this story broke in it Sunday lunchtime, and I don't think I've been so incensed about something really, because all of us here, we love football, we love the grassroots, we love all of it. Whereas we just see now these foreign owners are coming in. I mean, how the hell can John W. Henry be at the hub of this? A man who didn't know what a football was 10 years ago. Suddenly now he's trying to change the course of history along with the Glazers. I mean, what have they done with Man United? I just find it appalling. On one hand, you've got the greed of the big six, if you want to call it. And then you've got the desperation of the EFL. And I can't blame the EFL clubs for, going along with it, because all they see is pounds, shillings and pence, that they're in desperate need of money. They've done this also in the height of the pandemic, which is crippling football. They're taking advantage of that to come out with this and say, oh, if you come along and agree with this, we can save you. That's all well and good. But I worry about the future of football. And, this is a talk of reducing the Premier League to 18 clubs. Now, it should have been 18 clubs at inception in 1992, but it went to 22 clubs, again for greed, then down to 20. Now, it should go down to 18 clubs for the reason being that it would give players more rest and it would probably enhance international football. I know we're not, you two are not fans of international football, but that was the reason behind it. The new reason behind going to 18 clubs is so that the big clubs can take part in an extended Champions League, more money, etc. So I just look at it and I'm appalled, and I'm just glad at the reaction, especially from fans, against it. That is the hope. The fans, even of Liverpool, Manchester United, most of them are against this. And to John W. Henry and to the Glazers, if you want to go and play in European League, go. Go, leave us alone, and the rest of us will get on with proper football.
It's my job sometimes to pick you up on things. I couldn't agree with you more. Do you know the saddest thing of all? The three of us. I mean, I've known Charlie longer than you, Rick. We go back to being kids, really. And the bottom line is a love of football. I've never been as turned off with football. Sadly, not the lower leagues and all that kind of thing. With it's greed. It is greed beyond greed. But Charlie, I don't know what you think, but this has been my, not worry, because I can't even be bothered worrying about it, but extended Champions League, extended Club World Cup. It might be the finger in the Greg Dyke at the moment, but sure, in 5 years' time there'll be a breakaway league. and for me, you can forget it after that.
The one word that John said there, I thought, was opportunists. And I really do think the timing is everything. How appalling it is that they've chose this time as well to come out with this, when the EFL clubs are, so many of them are, it's almost like giving a dog a bone, isn't it? And sweetening. The great thing is that the unity of the fans. But it is sad. I think sad and disappointing, inevitable, question mark.
Do you think it's inevitable? I do.
I don't think. I think the time is not right. This was supreme opportunism on the part of the gang of three, if you include Parry in this. Just a bit disappointing, sad. If it's inevitable, let's, that maybe, I think things like a sort of Super League has been mooted by, in Spain, certainly for a number of years now. But to bring this up again at this time and almost, just be throwing things at the poor EFL things as a sweetener for them, it's despicable. But I do think Manchester United supporters and Liverpool supporters and supporters of all the big six, who I think united for a press release this week, are to be applauded. But it is just, as I think John meant, summed it up perfectly. It is really, really sad. If they want to bugger off to do other things, then we'll get on with our. But it was, the fact that it's two American-owned, and clubs as well, and yeah, they are super rich and they are great football clubs, but they're doing things that their supporters don't want, and that can't be right, can it?
The one thing that came out of it, and I would really, well, there's two things. One, a possibly regulated body apart from football, which Bernstein, Gary Neville, people like that, and the government, it seems to me, are looking at. But why shouldn't it be written in tablets of stone that was it 250 million or 25% of the television money goes to why not go to the EFL? That should be the first rule. Okay, there's then an argument about how it's distributed and what they do with it, and that's complicated. But 25% of it should go automatically, shouldn't it?
I've done a story for Sunday, sort of looking at the background of this, and to be honest, the Football League, as it was then, the EFL now, they've got to blame themselves here, because the Premier League back in, I think, 1995 did come up with a TV deal, which they were going to give 20% of all TV deals to the Football League.
Yeah.
71 of the 72 clubs agreed with it, but then for some reason the Football League board went against it, thinking they'd get more money going solo. And I'm afraid that didn't happen. And, that has gone on ever since, and they missed out. So you can't blame the Premier League there. They did try and help. This was like 15 years ago.
Sure.
So, that did happen. But yeah, coming now, surely that would be the best way forward.
Okay, let's it will run and run, as they say. Where we don't know. Let's talk about the games at the weekend, Charlie. Everton, Liverpool. What is it? 10 years to the day since Everton beat Liverpool. I just wonder what effect a lack of fans will have on this particular game.
Not there's been 10 years. The vast majority of those games have been with supporters, and certainly at Goodison, and I don't think that will make a great deal of difference. At all. I know Everton's support in that game is fanatical. It really is, but it's not got us over the line for a decade now. And who's to say the lack of supporters will tomorrow? I think what happens on the pitch and what happens with Michael Oliver, the referee, and these things can be, whatever, one big decision one way. I hope he doesn't. I hope we are talking about the game at the end of the day. I don't think it's a great time to play Liverpool. Everton have had so many people out on international duty. Liverpool similar, but they've also had people like Trent. How come Trent hasn't been playing for England? Have I missed something?
The word is doesn't fancy him. I mean, I don't know. Reece James did very well the other night, in fairness, but yeah.
Oh, Reece James is a good player. It's just that,
Yeah.
of course he is. Of course he is. And we are blessed with a lot of right-sided players. I mean, again, that gets us on then to, if he doesn't fancy him, he certainly doesn't seem to fancy Jack Grealish either, you know, who I was staggered when we were 1 down to Denmark. I know it's against 10 men, but, you know, if it's anything other than a meaningless, you know, it's not. This is a big game for us, having beaten Belgium. And Jack Grealish is watching the game with me. You know, that can't be right.
He says it's the first. I read. I don't know where I read it. Eddie Howe, pack your bags. Gareth, he's too defensive. Rick, I must admit, I was sitting on the sitting like Charlie, wondering what poor Jack looked pretty miserable when he was sitting in the stand. They focused on him, didn't they?
Well, as you know, I'm a huge Jack Grealish fan, as Charlie is. Well, we all are, and I just couldn't believe it. And then, you know, Trent Alexander-Arnold. I mean, he is the best right back in the country. I don't think he's a right wing back, by the way. I think there is a difference. I think I don't like the back three anyway. I think it should be a back four. I think Trent Alexander should be the right back because he's simply the best in the country. Reece James is very good, but he'll have to take his turn because Trent is, for me, is better. The whole tactics, you just wondered at them. I mean, you know, we had the sending off of Harry Maguire, right? I mean, Harry Maguire, he's just lost, isn't he? I mean, he put Reece James to left back at first. Oh, what's going on here? Then at least 5 minutes later, he changed it again. Brings Tyrone Mings on. What was all that about? Then there's Jack Grealish sat there. You know, they're desperate to try and get an equaliser or even win it. You bring in people like Jordan Henderson on, who's not going to win you a game. I mean, don't get me wrong, Jordan Henderson's a very good player, but you want somebody, some inspiration, somebody to unlock the door. And it's Jack Grealish sat there doing nothing. I've done a piece again for Sunday talking to Peter Barnes about the lost Mavericks. You know, the Alan Hudsons of this world. You know?
Yeah, the Rodney Marshes, yeah.
And he's worried that Jack Grealish is going to go down the same route because managers, for some reason, unless you're Bobby Robson or Terry Venables, they don't trust players like this. And you know, you can go down the ages. It's always happened. I mean, Paul Gascoigne was very lucky that he had Bobby Robson and Terry Venables because the same fate might have met him, and you know, the Gaza story wouldn't have happened. So I do worry about what's happening with Jack Grealish.
It's Manchester United against Rico's Newcastle. Charlie, I don't think you could be a sort of decent kind of human being if you can't spare a thought for big Harry Maguire at the moment, who, you know, was a golden boy, an England golden boy, Manchester United. I mean, the poor fella must wonder what on earth has happened to him. My heart goes out to him. I don't know about you.
Yeah, it's difficult. I wonder if Solskjaer will take him out of the firing line. But this is, of course, is the captain. He's also a person who played every minute of every league game last year. So we can't sort of talk about it. It's not as if he, you know, fatigue at this stage. He just looked shell-shocked when he was given that red card. He just looked like a little boy lost. And I think it probably is the time to do that. It's just probably not the greatest time with Manchester United having shipped 6 to actually take your captain out. And if you take him out, when is the optimum time to bring him back in? If, of course, Manchester United do well in the meantime, you know, and you say have Eric Bailly and the other centre-back, or maybe bring in Brandon Williams, or I've been advocating, I just see a player with Brandon Williams, and I wouldn't mind him having a go in the centre of defence. But yeah, I probably do think the time is right, but whether Solskjaer and, of course, Maguire, whether they think that is another thing. But it was sad if we're talking about what happened, you know, with the potential breakaway on Sunday. I thought that was sad midweek to see Harry Maguire, you know, almost, you know, do it a pirouette as if he couldn't believe what had just happened to be sent off for England.
It would be typical Newcastle, isn't it, Rico, where Alan Saint-Maximin gets a 6-year contract, which is quite a statement of intent. And then I pick up the paper this morning and read fans are going mad that they've not had their season ticket money back.
Yeah, well, that's aimed at one person, isn't it? As we know, that's Mr. Ashley.
Yeah, but at the same time, well, both sides of it. But a 6-year contract for Alan Saint-Maximin. This is a guy who, having played so well, everybody's going, oh, he's going to move, he's going to jump ship. I thought that was a bit of a statement, to be honest with you.
Well, I'd be glad if he's still there in 6 months' time, not 6 years, to be honest. I mean,
At least you get a fee for
all it does is raise the transfer fee.
Yeah.
The inevitable will happen probably next summer. He'll go to one of the top clubs in Europe because he's simply sensational. If he continues the way he's going, he's just fantastic. I mean, I don't believe in one-man teams, but Newcastle almost are a one-man team. If he turns it on against Manchester United, and hopefully Harry Maguire plays, by the way, and then, you know, we've got a chance. Sorry, Harry. Sorry. But
I tell you what,
I've got to laugh. I did a story on Sunday about Bruno Fernandes having a bust up in the dressing room, and he's busily denying it at the moment. But you know, inch by inch, he's saying, "Oh yeah, there were raised voices. There was this, there was that." I mean, I just get fed up of players denying things. So the story's true. Bruno Fernandes did have a bust up in the dressing room, and if you know he wants to spout these fibs, if you like, well, let him continue. But we know the story's right.
There's some great games, Charlie, this weekend. And we'll talk to Rico about Man City and Arsenal. He's there. But Spurs, West Ham, the thought of Gareth Bale, Harry Kane and Son as a front three. And also against a West Ham team who are looking a lot better under David Moyes.
Well, Michail Antonio, we're talking about all those great strikes. Michail Antonio scored in 5 successive away games. Now, you know...
Why is he not in the England picture? He was my next question. Genuinely, I mean, you watch that fella, and if there's... I mean, I know Calvert-Lewin's been outstanding, but what he does as that lone striker is just immense.
Fabulous. And you always thought that there was... But he kept getting injured. You've got to be honest. Other West Ham managers in the past... he'd go on this little run of 2 games and you think, God, he's a good player. How can I mark him? He's faster than me. He's stronger than me. He can play football. He can lead the line. He can head a ball. And then he's injured again. And the great thing is, but you listen to that for West Ham, not for Liverpool or, you know, Ian Rush times or whatever, to score 7 goals or 8 goals maybe in 5, 6, you know, to score in every one of your away games. You know, if you've got a striker doing that, and of course, I didn't see anybody, but it can only be because of his injury record. But goodness me, he's on fire. And it would be interesting to see to him at one end of the pitch and Harry Kane. Again, Harry Kane, 4 games so far this season, 9 direct involvements, 6 assists and 3 goals. But it's an exciting game for you know, I've been critical of Spurs, but now Spurs, I still don't think he has a clue, a jar as to what his midfield, his best midfield is, and he just throws them balls in the air. But just listen to that potentially, and it's interesting with Mourinho, whether it's just a PR stunt coming out and saying what he's been doing in training. Gareth Bale this week has been, you know, and he's of course. Mourinho has played with, as coach rather, some outstanding players, as you know. But it's exciting. It's exciting for Spurs. But let's get it right. You know, West Ham went to Leicester City. Leicester City beat 5 past Manchester City, and they didn't have a shot on target.
Amazing
on target against West Ham. Good game now. But as you said, with City and Arsenal, the thing bubbling under it, Manchester United versus Newcastle, and then of course Everton versus Liverpool and Rangers versus Celtic. What a weekend. What a weekend.
Rico, it'll be who gives the ball away in their own box, trying to play out from the back, won't it? Against Mikel. I know we can't say that anymore. That's the future of football.
Yeah, I mean, it does all our heads in. It's just incredible. I mean, look at England. They were trying to do it, weren't they? Without any success. In the end, it was just pinging it long, you know.
Which I find, to be fair.
It wasn't working. And it doesn't work. It takes ages anyway. It takes like half an hour to get out, you know, the own half. Well, we've talked about it so many weeks now. That's the reason for me there's so many goals at the moment, so many defensive mistakes, and people can't play out from the back. Simple as that.
Do you know much about that? I've not seen too much of this Thomas Partey, but they reckon he's the real deal.
Is it the latest new Patrick Vieira?
Well, I mean, the thing is, I've got to say that everybody's talking about a new dawn for Arsenal. I don't say this is the crunch match, but you know, that's a statement signing. I've got to be honest with you.
I think it's a crunch game for Manchester City, to be honest.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I think if Arsenal go away with a win, I think there's going to be serious question marks about Pep Guardiola's future. And I'm not reacting, you know, to 90 minutes or whatever, but this has been slowly gaining force over the last few months. You know, he hasn't got a new striker. He's desperate for a new striker, and he keeps on saying we don't need one. Some of his tactics I found wanting. And I think, you know, questions will start to be asked if they lose this game, because obviously it's sorcerer against the apprentice, Mikel Arteta. Very interesting. I think Arsenal, it's a bit of a free hit. For Manchester City, it definitely isn't.
Listen, the one we haven't focused on is the one I was going to start with. Come on, Everton, Liverpool, Charlie. I mean, you say everywhere I've read, they say Liverpool are favourites. I don't know why. I don't know why that is.
No, I do, because they are a better team than Everton, and they are the champions, and they were champions of Europe. You know, this is an Everton team who got a good result at Crystal Palace, but deserved a 1-1 draw in the Brighton game. The game changed completely with that header by Yerry Mina just before half-time.
They've won 7 out of 7. They've scored 24 goals. They're on fire. Yeah. They'll never have a better time or a better chance or confidence-wise, because you must admit, there's, especially as the Klopp said, I was desperate the next morning to speak to the players. He apparently sent them a long text. He's had no time to work with a shell-shot Liverpool team, a team that's come back from all over the world. It's not like a Sunday, Monday game. Saturday midday, gee whiz.
Well, you say that, but Everton, of course, have had Colombia, Mina not available for Colombia. We don't know if he's fit. Seamus Coleman.
They say Ben Godfrey might actually debut.
Sorry?
They're actually saying Mina might be a doubt, but Ben Godfrey might make a debut. I mean, yeah.
Exactly. You're telling me this is sort of, well, who was the last Everton player to make his debut against Liverpool?
Adrian in goal.
But Liverpool have got, was it Glenn?
Centre half, wasn't it?
Rob? Glenn Keely getting sent off at Goodison. I was there, I'm afraid, when in the
Yes, I was there. Yeah, I was there.
Yeah. But no, Liverpool deserve to be favourites, of course. There's no sense, this Liverpool team, it was a freak result, I'm sorry. Aston Villa supporters, he's got 3 deflections. Adrian will probably not decide to kick it, but it's also a very good Aston Villa team. This will have been the kick up the backside that Liverpool needed. I don't expect it to be many goals, but I think Liverpool will nick it 2-1, maybe 3-1.
Rico?
Well, I'm going for Everton. I was so impressed with them the other week against Brighton. The momentum, I believe in the manager. I think the signings have been superb. This is a different Everton side from last season, as Charlie knows. I can understand where Charlie's coming from, because it is a freak result against Aston Villa, and you'd think that it'd be all guns blazing for Liverpool to prove themselves again. Well, certainly that's what Jurgen Klopp will want. I just think that Everton have got a bit too much for them at the moment. I think, you know, if you put them side by side at the moment, one side's going up and the other one's going down. And I think that I can't see Everton losing. It could be a draw, but I honestly cannot see Liverpool winning.
I tell you what, though, we're just chatting there and we're talking about the games, and we've kind of summed up why we don't want the Premier League, certainly the Premier League, change. You know, you're talking about West Ham, Spurs. It's an even money game, maybe. I don't know, Charlie, with the odds, but Leicester, Aston Villa, resurge. That's why it's so good, isn't it?
Oh, this season's been sensational, isn't it? You're one thing about the Manchester City versus Arsenal game, which somebody like me, I'm a bit of a sort of a stats person as well, is that I think the English referees are too lenient. I know you may find that extraordinary. Stuart Atwell is refereeing Crystal Palace versus Brighton, has had 22 yellow cards in his 4 games that he's refereed so far. Thomas Partey, how many yellow cards has he had in 2 seasons in La Liga, the last 2 seasons?
Don't know. Go on, tell us.
21. And it will be interesting for me to see how many yellow cards he gets in the Premier League, because I think the refereeing in La Liga, whether that's overzealous, I don't know, but will be interesting, because of course if he's, that's 21 yellow cards he's had. he must have been suspended for a lot of it.
Yeah.
as
Do you know
well.
what? John Cleese used to say about a Faulty Towers episode, you start with a premise and the key is to end with the same premise. Do you know, next week we'll kick off with, because I'm watching the international football, and the one thing nobody's talked about, bearing in mind how referees don't understand how they're refereeing the game in England in terms of what's a handball and not. And then you've just said maybe that in Spain, the referees are more. Now, when it gets to an international tournament, what the heck will because the referees are all over the place anyway when they could you just imagine how one referee's refereeing an England game and they're so used to being in that way, and then Spanish. Anyway, Charlie, thanks a lot, mate. Rico, thanks a lot, pal. Really great talking to you. Have a great week. We'll do it all again next week.
Look forward to it, mate. See you,
Yeah.
Joe.
See you, Rob. See you, Charlie.
Rico.
See you, guys.
See ya. See you, fellas.
See you, lads.
Cheers, mate. Thanks, Charlie.